everybody. Hello. You can see we've got a different setup here today, and this is not a tumbler. I did ask in one of my videos, I had mentioned that I have started doing some tie-dye t-shirts and asked if anybody would be interested in seeing me do one of them, and I got a good response to that. So I decided that this is going to be something that I'm going to feature, from time to time, and see how it goes. So what I have here is a t-shirt, 100% cotton, and it has been soaked, it's been washed and dried, and then it was soaked in soda ash, been spun out, and I don't put it in my wash machine because my wash machine doesn't offer a spin only cycle, or I haven't figured it out yet. But so I use a mop wringer, one of the ones that spins, and it does pretty good. This has been sitting for probably an hour, and it's still plenty damp enough. Okay, that being said, the shirt is turned inside out, and I am going to match up the shoulder seams, and I'm going to tuck one sleeve into the other, and I'll show you why in a second here. Let me just get this lined up. And it's going to take a little bit. You're going to have to shake it out and whatnot, just to get things lined up. That's the neighbor's dog barking, if you can hear him. I'm much closer to a window than I usually am. Okay, now I've lined this up. I'm going to make sure that the inner seam is where it needs to be. And this can take a little bit of doing. I mean, I'm showing you, but I won't always show this each time I tie-dye something. Okay, we've got the arms in there pretty good. You want to get it as smooth as possible so that you're not putting marks and wrinkles where you don't want them. Now that tag wants to give me a little bit of a hard time there. That's okay. I'm bigger than it. And I am just trying to smooth out my back side here. Like I said, it can take a little bit of time. You want to give it a shake. Turn it around the other way. Give it a little shake. Just to try to get things where you want them to be. All right. Now, I'm satisfied enough with that. We're not going to do anything really fancy today. I'm going to give a fairly basic design. Now, I'm going to explain to you why it's turned inside out and why I put one sleeve in front of the other. If you look up here by the collar, here's the front. This is the front of the t-shirt. This is the back. You'll get a much better symmetry to your design if you do this, if you fold it this way. You can leave it, right side out and flat and do it that way if you want to. I prefer this way. I'm not going to be too precise with this. Like I said, I'm just trying to get a video out for you to see it. So I've got a crochet hook here, which helps with a plethora of things when it comes to your designs. I'm going to the armpit, and I'm just going to give myself a middle point there. Okay, I have a washable marker, and this won't hurt anything on the design because it'll wash out in the end. It all comes out in the wash. Didn't know when I would ever use that, but there you have it. And I have a piece that I just keep from a piece of string, actually. I don't know how well you can see that, but I just kind of keep that for this purpose. And I'm just going to, since I know where my center line is, I'm going to lay my string there. And let's bring it out a little bit. And I'm just going to mark it. Like that. I want this design on just the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my t-shirt a little bit, and I'm going to start gathering in a fan fold. And the point to this is to give yourself a straight line for where you're going to tie it. And you just want to just gather up a little at a time, or you can do bigger folds, it's up to you. It's whatever you're looking for. Now, you're going to have to maneuver your shirt around a little bit to get this to line up straight. I'm going to try not to have it buckle. By buckle, I mean to have one section come up where it's not laying flat on the surface. Okay. Now, this isn't exactly straight, so I'm gonna fidget with it a little bit just to try to give myself a better line. See, that was a buckle. You don't want that. You want it to kind of stay where it is. And now I need to maneuver this back around because I'm right-handed, and it makes it easier if I can put my tie on there, excuse me, put my tie on there with my right hand. I'm going to use, this string is a waxed string. A lot of tie-dyers use what's called sinew, but I've got this string and it's wax coated and it does basically the same thing, I believe. I mean, I haven't used sinew, but I feel like I get the same kind of results. You can use rubber bands. I've got a bunch of rubber bands and a lot more somewhere else. I've got smaller rubber bands. Sometimes I use those if it doesn't make sense to wrap with you know, with the sinew or the waxed string. Sorry, doing a little bit of thinking here. I've got the one piece that I put this way, and I put this down here, hold it, and then slide my string around. Now I'm going to do about 3 of these wraps before I cinch it down. And I'm going slowly just so that you can see, and my hand is right in the flipping way. Okay, I'm taking up some of the slack from this. I'm holding this and I'm pulling. I'm not pulling up toward my face because I'm not looking for a fat lip. And that will happen if the string slips or if it happens to break. So you want to pull it, after I get a couple more wraps on here, you want to pull it down and to the other side of you. And I'm just holding it and pulling it. Now, that will anchor itself right there. No big deal. So now I'm just going to go ahead and pleat this up the way I want it a little bit, because when I get to the end, I'm going to tuck, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, where I'm pulling tighter on the string is where I will hopefully get a white division in my colors. There. Now those are nice and tight. It's cinched in there. It's not going anywhere. I do have a little skip in my step here. Let's see if I can't. There we go. I got him. I got him. Okay, on the end here, I'm going to pull it apart, and then I'm going to pucker it and kind of tuck it all in there. And then I'm going to wrap my string around, not really, really tight, just enough to kind of keep it, I cinched it into its own self. There we go. Just enough to hold it where I want it. Now you can either pull that tight and cut it off, or you can bring it down into the rest of your shirt. What we're going to do is we're going to bring it down into the rest of the shirt. And I'm going to, let me see here. These folds, I'm not going to be precise about them, but I am going to kind of straighten them out, pull them out, and kind of get them to come around. If they're too big, you're going to get a bigger block of color. So, you know, just know that that's what's going to happen, and it's entirely up to you how you want your shirt to look. And I've only been doing this a few months, so, you know, I'm no expert by any stretch of the imagination, but I do have a good time doing this, and that's why I do it. Okay, now I just want to get this part brought around. We're not worried about this over here yet. Okay, now I want to give myself a little slack there, because I'm going to bring this back around, and I'm not tightening it down. I'm just giving it an area to ride on. And I'm going to go just a little above our yellow line. I hope you can see this. This is a different camera angle and altogether workstation for me, so this is the first one I'm doing on here. I am going down about an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch, I don't know. In my mind, I don't ever feel like tie-dye needs to be a precise design, because that's the beauty of it, is that it should be unique and different each time. In my opinion, if you're going for a certain design, yes, there are things that you can do. And I highly recommend checking out a few experienced tie-dyers. I'm doing this strictly for the fun of it, and the fact that I know a lot of people that like tie-dye. So, okay. Okay, those are all tied down nice and tight. The rest of it, I could use string. I have this cotton string. You can use kite string, but I couldn't find any that wasn't on one of those little tiny clips, you know, that you use to fly a kite. So I went with the cotton string, which is, you know, fine. That will dye through and not leave terribly noticeable rings in your tie-dye. So I'm just going ahead now and tying up the rest of the shirt and kind of playing with it as I go here. This string puller that I'm using is, well, it's not a string puller at all. It is a tart tamper, I think it's called. It's used in baking, but it works really well for this string. The two wide ends keep your string from going off the end, like this would go off the end because there's nothing to stop it. But this works really well for this, because you don't want to try to pull this string with your fingers. You're going to wind up with cuts on your hands. This string is very thin and it's very strong. So yeah, it can do some damage. And you can hear it popping into place. Okay. One more good tug, and then I'm going to bend this part over. And I'm going to wrap that tail in there. And then I'm going to give it a good tug. Okay. That should sit there pretty well. And I'm just going to go ahead and snip that. Sure I am. There we go. Okay. Scissors out of the way. String out of the way. I like this too because I can set it on its end. This part here. It's big enough to hold its own there. So now we have a wrapped tee. The bottom is always going to be flatter. When I am doing shirts that I need a very specific design, I will always do front of the shirt down, because you're always going to get a flatter outcome of your wrap. And I have several bottles of dye here. I'm going to bring you up just a little bit. There. Okay. And I have, my dye is all mixed up, so I need to get my gloves on. And before I get into the dye, I just want to show you quickly one of the shirts that I've done recently. This one here, let me just move this over here out of the way. This one here I think came out really cool. I really, really like it. And this was a spiral that I did. And I'm really digging these colors lately. I don't know, this orange and yellow and green just screams summer festival to me. So that's one of them. I've done several. Here's a tea towel that I did. That, you know, you could use this as a small backdrop or even a scarf if you wanted to. And this was just really easy to do. But you see these white marks? All these white marks are what cinching down with that sinew or the wax string produces. So there's just an example for you. Let's get to doing this one. This is, okay, this is fuchsia. Can always do fuchsia. And orange. Orange and fuchsia are nice together. And let's go to a turquoise. Okay. We'll do these three colors. And I just need to give this a shake. Like I said, I've had, some of these have been mixed up. These are only about a week old. In the smaller bottles, the bigger bottles, they've been around a little longer than I should keep them. I love that orange. I'm going to make a mess here. So just, you know, go along for the ride. I'm going to hush up and we're going to let this happen. I'm going to get this and put it into my container, and I'm going to let it sit for 24 hours. When we come back, I will show you the rinse process, and then I will show you what it looks like. So here we have our finished t-shirt. And I think it came out amazing. I love that it's well centered. I love that I got my white rings based on how tight I put my sinew or my wax string down here. Remember, I didn't do it as tight, so we don't have the dividing white here. The other thing that I love is that it came out so uniform that our shoulders are equal, our sleeves are the same, and this is why turning it inside out and putting one sleeve in the other it's just unbelievable how well it all dyes together. The backs of the sleeves are uniform as well. So I'm really pleased with the way the pattern turned out on this. I'm not as pleased with the purple. It didn't really, I don't know, it kind of browned up a little bit in some spots. I think it gives the organic look, but I would have preferred that the purple stayed a little more purple. But all in all, I'm not disappointed. Now I want to show you the back. Shaw baby. Is that wicked cool or what? That was all from that little bit that we put down at the bottom. Yeah. Isn't that awesome? I just love everything about this shirt except for that purple. The way the purple turned out. But as you can see, the side view, there's separation. Awesome. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this. I see I've got a string here. Oh, that just came right off. I'm pretty pleased with the way it turned out. I hope you like the way it turned out. And I hope you'll tune in for some more tie-dyeing, because I'm actually loving doing this, and I hope you enjoy it as well. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. Give it a thumbs up. That lets the algorithm know that people are interested in seeing this, and it helps me as a channel as well, because that moves me forward and it gives me motivation and incentive to do more. So thanks for tuning in, and until next time, toodles.